The question is for the Prime Minister. Obviously, American tariffs on Canada are wrong, but so is forced labor. And this Liberal government refuses to crack down on forced labor products coming into our supply chain from the Xinjiang province in China. For example, in 2024 alone, the Americans blocked 6,947 shipments of products originating in the Xinjiang province in order to stop forced labor. Here, this Liberal government only stopped 2 shipments in 5 years. Will the government ban all products coming from the Xinjiang province and end slavery once and for all?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has some of the most rigorous forced labor laws in the world, and we condemn forced labor everywhere it exists, including in my meeting last Friday with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of China. Every good that enters this country is subject to rigorous import controls and screening. We allocated $600 million in last year's budget to address forced labor, Mr. Speaker, and we prioritize the inclusion of comprehensive labor provisions in free trade agreements to promote international labor standards. We stand with workers everywhere.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
$600 million? They announced $600 million to stop 2 shipments, and they stand with workers everywhere in the world. Are you kidding, Mr. Speaker? They're undermining Canadian wages by having multinationals take away Canadian jobs and give them to regimes that use forced labor and slavery. And now Canadian workers are facing potential tariff threats, which will compound the cost to Canada. This Prime Minister has never condemned the genocide and slavery in the Xinjiang province because of his corporate interests. Will he stand up today and say that he's condemning that kind of forced labor in Xinjiang?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs on a very important question.
Mr. Speaker, I want to underline that Canada will always protect the rights of workers within and outside this country. The $600 million allocated in last year's budget is on top of a number of measures that we have taken in our negotiations, in our free trade agreements with other countries around the world, a point I emphasized last Friday when I spoke with China's Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that our economy at the same time has grown by more than 17% in terms of our exports.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was for the Prime Minister. I asked if he would stand in this House and condemn the forced labor practices by the regime in Beijing carried out on people in the Xinjiang province. And I know that this is a tough issue for him because his company is seeking to expand its business. His company in China, and his company took a $200 million loan from a Chinese state-backed bank, so he does not want to compromise those interests. Will he put people before profits and stand up today and condemn forced labor in the Xinjiang province? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
On the front lines of our relationship with China and countries around the world. We wholeheartedly and emphatically condemned forced labor wherever it occurs. In addition, in our free trade negotiations with countries around the world, we underline and ensure that we are condemning forced labor. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to grow the Canadian economy strong, not only concluding 20 agreements on the economy and security and defense worldwide, but also ensuring that we're responsibly investing.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister refuses to stand up and condemn the forced labor in the Xinjiang province because, of course, he does not want to jeopardize his corporate profits, in which he's continually invested, Mr. Speaker, even though that it comes at the expense of Canadian workers. Canadian workers lose out when they have to compete with forced labor, and Canadian workers lose out when there are punitive tariffs as a result. So I'll give the Prime Minister one last chance. Put people before profit. Will the Prime Minister stand up and announce that he's going to ban shipments of any goods from the Xinjiang province, which is renowned for forced labor? Yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade.
Speaker, thank you very much. As the minister before me said, forced labor is absolutely unacceptable. That is why we're working always hard to ensure that we have our supply chain completely protected. That's why various departments within Government of Canada, as per the strict laws we have in place, work all the time to ensure that we stop any shipments that is a result of forced labor. In fact, Speaker, that is why in all our trade agreements, we make sure that we have stringent labor provisions to uphold international labor standards. We will continue to do so to make sure that we protect Canadian workers and workers abroad.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Clearly, Donald Trump's tariffs are unjustified and unjustifiable. But forced labor is also unjustified and unjustifiable. But this Liberal government has done nothing to protect Canadians against products built with this slavery. Under Joe Biden, they stopped 6,947 shipments of products from the Xinjiang province. This Liberal government stopped 2 of them. When will this Liberal government ban products from Xinjiang?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, forced labor is unacceptable. We need to ensure that our supply chains on the global level are free of these abusive practices. We work closely with the ministers to ensure that there is no one resorting to forced labor in the supply chain. This is why we focus as a priority on including comprehensive provisions in the free trade agreement so that we can promote international labor laws.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question was for the Prime Minister. We learned, in fact, we know that Canadian workers lose out whenever we import work that is made with forced labor because it reduces wages and takes away jobs from Canadians. And now Canadians could lose even more because of these tariffs from the U.S. that are linked to goods that are bought from those regions where they use forced labor. When will the Prime Minister finally take action to ban all products coming from Xinjiang? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, all goods entering the country are subject to import controls and to rigorous verification. The agency does everything required to intercept any of these goods that could be the result of forced labor and is accountable to Parliament for this work. We want to make sure we have high standards for all workers.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the Prime Minister was asked a direct question. He refuses to stand up, and he can't even condemn forced labor and slavery because it runs counter to his corporate interest. And this is the old story with him. A small group of Liberal insiders, members of the club, multinational corporations, get fabulously rich, making everyone else terribly poor. While his corporate profits have gone up and he's dodging his taxes on those profits, the Canadian people are suffering even more with the only recession in the G20. Will he stand up today and reverse those policies?